Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and in today's video we thought it would be fun for you just to kind of come along on a rainy Friday with us, and we're just going to show you what's going on at the nursery. The nursery is open today, but like I said, it is rainy. We have had lots of cloud cover. We're supposed to probably get some storms later this afternoon. You may even hear some thunder. We're fine. We're just going to go with the flow and go through the day. Now, if you are new to Gardening with Creekside, because I know we have a lot of new folks with us, you might be wondering, well, you're a nursery, but you have no greenhouses down here. We have just taken down 2 Quonset hut greenhouses that covered this entire space, and we are going to be installing a new 48-foot gutter connected A-frame greenhouse. Jerry just talked to the folks who were going to be installing it for us, and they are running behind schedule because of where they have been. It's been raining, so they're a little far behind. We thought it was going to actually start to happen next week. Probably not going to happen, but we'll have this whole area. It's going to be a 48-foot by 48-foot. What Jerry is doing right now, and you'll hear him in just a little bit with the bobcat, is our job is to level this pad. This corner tends to be a high spot, where in the back it tends to be a low spot. So he's cranking up the bobcat, so if you hear that, that's what that is. Just ignore us. It's just construction zone around here. So he has to level this for them and prep the pad. This has a ton of gravel here, so drainage is works really well here. It will be a concrete floor after the greenhouse is installed, and he does have to move some water lines. We have one that is right here at the base of my feet. That has got to be moved, and that will be taken care of. But he doesn't want to start trenching those ditches until we know that we're not going to get a ton of rain, which has just started raining again. But come on over here. So that's going on, and we'll see that he's going to come with the bobcat here in a second. All of this part of the greenhouse, this is where the timer is, the dosatron, fertigation system, all of that you can see right here. These are all of our different zones that it runs. This will have to be taken out and moved, and it will be taken to the back of the greenhouse. So bringing in another load of gravel and just building up that back section, because that is where it is kind of tends to be the lower spots. We do enjoy having this bobcat. It has made life so much easier, both in landscaping and projects around the nursery and the house. Okay, freak, it's raining. What we're gonna do is, Jerry doesn't care if it's raining or not because he's in the bobcat. My plan was that I'm gonna go over to the house, and the urns that I have on the patio, I want to plant them for their fall. I've already got some violas over there, so what I was gonna do is grab some other components, but it is really starting to kind of rain a little bit heavy now. So we're going to pause. We're gonna go up to the production area of the greenhouse because the ladies up there are using, are potting up shrubs, and they're in the greenhouse, so they are nice and protected, so we're gonna go up there. So let's go for a little ride. Here we are in the production greenhouse. This is the first production greenhouse that we have. Has the roll-up size that does not have heat. But what is fantastic is that it has nice big open doorways, and so we can bring the trailers in here, the Kubota in here, and just drive straight through, and we can make it easy to work in here. So in the wintertime, we do a lot of potting in here, and on rainy fall days. So what we're working on, what they are working on, I'm not working, am I, Christine?
You're doing the most important work.
Oh, hush. So what we're doing is potting up, as you can see, lots of beautiful butterfly bushes. So we've got, it looks like Miss Molly's, and then that's what these are right here. We get all of our shrub containers, plants, whatever you call them, from Spring Meadow Nursery. Remember, Spring Meadow is the shrub supplier for Proven Winners. They are the growers, breeders, and so they come in these called quick turns, or quarts. I'm getting my verbiage wrong. Basically, a nice quart-sized container, and then we move them up. As a grower, you get to decide if you want them in a 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever size gallon you want. All of these are going into 2 gallons. So these will be ready for us next spring. So we have lots of things coming in, beautiful things, beautiful plants. So down here, so we said we had the Pugster Blues, the Miss Molly's, which will be a nice medium size. And then it looks like down here, they did some rubies. So this is the Invincible, no, it's not ruby, it's Garnetta, excuse me. I was just looking at the tag, and I saw the pink and I thought it was ruby, but it's not, it is Garnetta. So Garnetta is in the same family as the ruby. It's going to be in hardiness zones 3 to 8. It's going to be a nice little petite one, so it's going to be smaller than ruby because it's only 2.5 feet tall and wide, but it's going to have those absolutely beautiful deep pink red flowers. They're color specific, so it's not based on your pH soil. So that's what's going on. And then come over here and we'll see these girls in action. So Christine and Meredith are working, and they've got some more Pugsters. These are Pugster.
This is pink. Pinker.
Pink.
We give them little words of affirmation. You're going to be so beautiful.
Christine likes to talk to the plants. It helps them grow.
I'm so proud of you.
You know, I saw a little meme the other day, and it said, if science proves that talking to plants makes them grow better, imagine what speaking kind words to people will do. Isn't that great?
Remember that in the comment section, y'all. I said what I said.
You have friends in your life that are very protective of you. That's my sweet Christine. So what she's doing, I mean, it's not hard, right? So you take them, you stick them down into the soil. We come up with an assembly line, do the pots, you fill them with soil, then you go through and just shove them in there. I mean, like look at Christine. I mean, she's not being gentle. I mean, just shove them down in there. Now notice that she's not putting the top of the root ball under soil. She's just nice on top. Butterfly bushes hate to be wet, so you never want to put them too deep. So here's another one. Look at her just manhandle these things. This one was a professional, folks. Shove it. There you go. This is like the true plopping plant. There you go. So we've got some other things over here that are going to go in. We've got wee bit grumpy hydrangea. There is vanilla spice clethra, which is a gorgeous, fantastic plant. So they're just going to keep getting these potted up. They're going to keep getting all of these shrubs nice and potted up. Jackson is my cameraman for me today, doing a great job. Hopefully when this rain stops, we can go get those urns planted on the patio. Okay, friends, it is still raining, and as you can see, Jerry has got a shovel in hand and one in the ground and staring at a hole in the ground. So what he is working on right now is moving that irrigation line that we had talked about at the beginning of the video. It is still raining, and we did have some kind of heavy downpours. You can see there's water standing on the ground and in the pots. So what we're going to do is just kind of explain what the setup is and what he's doing and why he's doing it. So in this hole right here, you can see, maybe, it's got water in it, but there is a black pipe. And that black pipe is the main water line for basically everything here at the nursery. So what he has got to do is then go ahead and he's going to put a T on that line. And one of those lines, sorry y'all, I'm going to give Jerry my umbrella. I don't really need this umbrella anymore. Whew, okay, here we go. Now I've got two hands. So he's going to put a T in it, and one line is going to run the length of the gravel right here and go in the back of the greenhouse, because that is where our new storage building is going to be with the timers and fertigations and the valves and all that stuff. The other part of the T coming from here will come out, you can see where he's scraped, and then run basically in a straight line in front of the greenhouse and the pad all the way down to where the bobcat is. That way, because the new greenhouse will run this way, so we'll have some space back here that will be open in case we need to get in there and make repairs for the lines. Now, over here, what you can see, here we go, Jerry's gonna be my cameraman. So over here, what we have are these, of course, was in a greenhouse, right? So this was in a greenhouse. These are the valves for all the different zones. So, of course, they're hooked up to electricity, hence the wires that they turn on and off. So it's the different zones in the greenhouse. So it can be hanging baskets, it could be sprinklers, it could be, you know, whatever. Obviously, this has got to get moved. These, and then there is a valve that is completely submerged right now. So all these valves, the fertigation will all get moved to the back of the greenhouse. Remember, fertigation is just a fancy word, fertilizer, irrigation. So you're fertilizing your plants through the irrigation. That's where our dosatron injector comes in. All of those mechanics will be behind the greenhouse in a shed so that our customers do not see that. So then come over here, what we were doing, I keep saying we as a Creekside family. Normally I am in here helping him, but we knew that we were filming this video today, and anyway, Jerry is working on this area right here. Now, he was using the bobcat to expose where this irrigation line is. You can see the white PVC is right there because he was able to backtrack and knew where it is, and you can see how it's going down. At this point, he is going to cut this PVC line, and you're going to send it where?
Connecting to that line.
It'll cut here, go 90-degree angle, and connect with the one that's coming in front of the greenhouse. Yeah. Because this line then goes back there and supplies all the water for the shrub lot and the plants on the creek, and then other zones that we're gonna have eventually for flower beds. So this is a big deal. Now, doing this in the rain on a rainy day is a blessing and a curse. It's a curse because you're working in the rain, and our lovely North Carolina red clay, you're dealing with that. It is a blessing to do this because if you do this on a nice, warm, sunny day, yes, maybe it's a little bit easier for us to work in, but the plants don't get water because all of these main lines have to be shut off in order to cut them. Otherwise, you got a really big mess on your hands. So the plants are very happy, so they're fine not to have water. So that's why we really do prefer to do this on a cloudy, rainy day, because the water can be cut off, plants are fine. We're almost at the end of the day, and the rain has been off and on. It's this whole system that's moving up, you know, the East Coast. This is the most rain we have gotten out of all of it, which we desperately needed some rain. We haven't had good rain, so we're very appreciative for it. But it does make planting flowers in a container a little bit more challenging, especially when it's exposed. I think what we're gonna do, because it's supposed to keep raining all afternoon, is Christine's gonna come back first thing in the morning, and then she and I are gonna go ahead and finish up planting the urns on the patio. this video will continue tomorrow morning, and if Jerry does something else that's really fun out here, I'll show it to you. But otherwise, I will see you in the morning. Y'all sleep good. See you in the morning. Bye. Good morning, friends. Yes, it is now day 2, and the rain had come yesterday afternoon. It was great. It was wonderful. So now we're going to finish up this project that I have felt like it's going on forever. We're going to get the urns in the patio planted. But before we do that, we're obviously here at the house at the garage. I wanted to show you, I planted, I have 2 of these unique stone urns here flanking my garage, and 2 weeks ago now I filled them up with these sweet deep purple blue violas. There was 5 violas in here, and look how they have filled in and are just doing amazing. This kind of container, this arrangement, is called a monoculture. So all that is a big old fancy word. Mono means one, culture means the plant, right? So it's the same plant that you just fill one container with. When you do a monoculture, it makes a huge impact from a big distance because it looks just like one giant plant. I love doing that in containers, and it's just fun. That's what I thought I was gonna do over here on the back patio. I thought I was just gonna pick one viola and fill it in, but then you start seeing all these great kind of like combinations that other people are doing, and it just gives me a little bit of inspiration. Yesterday, Christine and I, in the rain, we were out there with our umbrellas. We're walking through and kind of picking out plants and coming up with ideas, because Christine has that great artist brain, so she thinks a little bit differently than I do. So that's what's fun about gardening with friends, or even if they don't know about plants, her artistic eye says, well, let's do this and this and this. So we came up with a really fun combination. So we're gonna ride over to the nursery, grab those plants really quick, and then come back and get them planted, because yes, it is Saturday morning and the nursery is open and we have got to get cracking. So let's take a ride over to the nursery. I had picked out the other day that I knew that I wanted to use these beautiful violas. This is technically the Color Max Purple Glow viola. Because if you remember, I planted in the ground some white and rose colored pansies. So we're gonna go kind of stay with those jewel tones and go with this. So I thought that would be beautiful as a monoculture, but alas, Christine had a different idea. So we stashed our plants under here. So what we're gonna do is, we'll obviously show it to you later when we plant it, but this is a trailing pansy. So this is a really sweet, creamy, light yellow pansy. We were gonna do pure white, but we didn't have 2 of them. So we decided to switch it up because, you know, use what you got. We're gonna use this beautiful Ajuga. This is the black Scallop Ajuga, which will actually be a perennial, so I can pull it out in the spring and plant it in the ground. We're going to use 2 of those per container, and then of course these violas, and then the Dusty Miller. This is the new look Artemisia. that we will use in the containers. I also use these in the landscape, so that will help tie everything together. I've actually, let's see, so we're just gonna grab the rest of the plants. I remembered I already had the violas over there, the purple ones, so I don't need to grab those. I can put them back for a customer. But let me grab, all I need is 2 more Dusty Millers, because we decided, okay, so this is a little tip. See, I'm sitting here, Christine's my camera lady this morning. So I was getting ready to say, what did we do? So I have a tip for you, and I tell my customers this all the time. When you come up with an arrangement, right, go ahead and if you're at a nursery or you're with somebody and they say, hey, let's do this kind of arrangement, go ahead, get out your phone, take a picture of the arrangement, so that way when you get home, you're not like, oh yeah, what did we say? How are we gonna do it? So what I just did to Christine, that's what I was gonna say. So while we just have one of the Artemisias in there, you think in the middle, one is good? Yeah, one is good. So that is what we're gonna do. So I need 2 more Ajugas. That's it. 2 more Ajugas, because these guys are staying. These guys are staying for somebody else. I've got 2 Ajugas for 1 pot. My two. Okay, we're gonna get 2 Ajugas and then we're gonna go over. I mean, they all look good, right? But of course you have to sit here and like study them. So I think those 2 look great. Now it is fun because these little Ajugas are already throwing up some blooms. Look at that sweet little purple bloom. So if these do bloom, that color will go just perfectly with what we're doing. So got them? Let's go. I learned a little trick this past late winter, early spring. I subscribed to Fine Gardening magazine and I was reading one of their articles, and one of the horticulturists that they were interviewing said one of his little tricks when he's planting containers is that he puts compost in like the lower third of his containers and then tops it off with potting soil. I did that little trick on my hay racks over there in the kitchen in the shade garden. They did magnificently well. The idea is that by the time that the roots are later in the growing season and they hit that compost, there's this great source of food for them. So that is what I'm going to do with these urns. I've got 2 of the Weston urns here on the tops of the pillars by the seating wall. I'm going to just set the camera up, get these planted. Once they're all planted, we'll come back and we'll talk about the arrangement and how we did it. If you will remember, in the spring, I had in these urns the skyrocket grass from Proven Winners, the Diamond Frost, Euphorbia, Super Bells, Morning Star, and then the fiber optic grass. They did amazingly well, but what I loved about that container is as the season progressed, so did the container. We went on vacation, came back, I had budworms for the first time ever in my Super Bells, so those ended up just coming out, as did the fiber optic grass, because it had just gotten too dry. So then I just left the skyrocket in with the Euphorbia, which turned out to be positively gorgeous and beautiful. When I pulled out the grass and the Euphorbia, of course it was really dry because this is not on irrigation and we're gonna have to figure that out. But they were also so root bound because this urn is deceivingly small as far as how much soil it holds. And it was completely root bound, and in fact the roots were growing down the drainage hole. It was hilarious. I did have that on camera because I was filming myself that day. Sometimes you feel like, okay, this is going well. Some days it's just like, oh my gosh, this is just like a train wreck. So when I was filming, I felt like it was a train wreck. Christine was like, Jenny, I bet it's really good. If there's any footage from that session, we'll put it in now. But if not, we're just gonna keep on going and talk about this. So anyway, these guys are in. Obviously, I just watered them in really well. So they're a little bit, waterlogged at the second. But what we did is we put one of the Artemisias in the center. This is New Look. It is only going to be 9 inches tall, 9 inches wide. Of course, then we have the violas around this side. There's 4 of them. And then this is where Christine has that great artist eye, which maybe I would not have thought to do this. This is a trailing pansy, that nice light yellow look. So it will spill over, not massively, not like a petunia, but it'll just kind of drape over just a little bit. And then we have the 2 ajugas on each side for the color contrast. So when you're looking just at this pot by itself, this side of the container will have more weight to it, right? Because it'll be thicker, bulkier, and trailing over. And then what we did over here, let me come with the hose here. On this one, we planted it, what would you say, opposite? Where we flip-flopped it. The violas are still on the inside of the seeding wall, but the trailing pansy and the ajugas are on the opposite side. So when you're looking at the seeding wall as a whole, you've got weight on the outside of the containers and a little bit more fluff and air on the inside. So together, these 2 pots will balance each other and give just nice symmetry to this whole space. Again, I went with these beautiful purple violas. I love them, and you can see, if Christine can show you right here on the ground, those were the pansies and the same Artemisia and then the red kale that I planted a couple of weeks ago. It looks like they need a little bit of a shot of some liquid fertilizer. My violas, my pansies are getting a little bit light, so they need probably a shot of liquid fertilizer. At this point, I'm not going to put slow release on them because remember, slow release is the fertilizer is released based on temperature. And we're not going to get consistent warm temperatures really to kind of release the fertilizer, obviously. So I'm going to shoot this really quick because this is driving me crazy that it's the dirt, the soil. I can't handle it because what I want to do is show you, we're going to walk just really quickly, and I want to show you a little bit of some plans that I have. I'm wrestling with my hose. This is a situation, this hose is something we're gonna have to kind of figure out because I still need a hose down here, but trying to get it off the porch is like a boogeroo. So if any viewers have any suggestions, oh, lousy, we're gonna do that. Okay, so we're gonna get these watered in real quick, and then we're gonna go, I'm gonna show you because, as you know, I have a newfound obsession with David Austin roses, which are doing pretty well considering we got 3 days of rain, but they are doing great. They're beautiful. I love the smell. You can see to the far left the tall pink. That is Scepter d'Isle. So she is glorious, clearly a very happy plant. There in the middle is Ruval Dahl, and then on the end is Desdemona. Now, you're looking at that probably and you're like, Jenny, they are not balanced whatsoever at all. Yeah, I know, I figured that out a couple of weeks ago, and I was sitting in the house at night and I was looking at different plans and thinking about what we're gonna do for this season, and it hit me and I was like, oh my word, Jerry, I said, I planted the roses in the wrong spot. Dear heavens. So what was supposed to happen was that Scepter d'Isle, who is the tallest one, was supposed to go over by the blue chiffon and have height over there. But, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave her where she is. Ruwald is going to get moved to the new location. We're going to talk about that in a second. Desdemona, who is a beautiful creamy white, very light pink, but a shorter one, is going to get moved over by the blue chiffon. Then we have, I believe that is Brother Codful. If I get it wrong, we'll put it up on the screen. But it too is another big, tall, pink rose like Scepter d'Isle. So we're going to take her and move her where Desdemona is. So Desdemona, they're going to flip-flop spots. So that way, those two roses that are over there will be nice and relatively the same size, same color. So then we'll have the two tall pink roses, and then Ruwald, he's getting moved, and then we're going to do Gertrude Jekyll, I think that's right, another tall pink one. So for those folks who were like, Jenny, you need some height on this wall, my height is going to come from my 3 different same colored pink David Austin roses. I am going to have to get some new obelisks because these obelisks are probably going to be too small for these tall roses. We can get the same obelisk but in different heights. This was actually the small obelisk. Okay, so now Ruwald is going to come over here. Now you might see the camper. We just went camping, so just ignore that. Real life here, folks. Okay, this area is, all these annuals are going to get pulled out. They're looking sad. But this is Superintendent of Silverberry, and then everybody asks what this plant is. That is the super white Angelonia, which is a fantastic Angelonia for the landscape. So all of these are just annuals. They will come out as soon as possible, in my opinion, because they're driving me nuts. Then we have the pink guara in the back. Now the guara will be a perennial for us. So they're going to get dug up and moved probably more along the front. This space where these annuals are in front of the azaleas and the tea olives, I'm going to have 3 sets of 3 roses each. So I'm going to take Ruwald and get 2 more Ruwalds. So there'll be a group of Ruwalds. Then there's going to be a group of a white rose. I forget the name. I looked at so many of them. White rose, there'll be 3 of them right here. And then about right in here will be 3 of the Poet's Wife, which is a beautiful yellow rose. My mama's favorite flower is a yellow rose. So I'm gonna plant yellow roses in honor of her. So I'm planting 3 of each variety so that once they grow up, it'll look like this one huge mass of the same rose, and it will make a huge impact from a great distance. They all smell amazing, and I have plenty of room in here to space them out accordingly. Full sun environment, which is what your roses need, so they will do great. The roses I ordered directly from David Austin, so if you can't find a local supplier of David Austin's, which honestly right now is really hard to do, just order straight from them. At this time of year, you're probably gonna have to order bare root roses, which I honestly prefer. So they come to you based on where you are and your weather patterns and all of that. I think because all of my David Austin's that I got this year came as bare roots. I wanna say it was April when they came, planted them straight in the ground, and you can see all the growth that they have had just from this one year. I will do other videos on talking about how to maintain them because they all have to get pruned for the winter. So we'll do a whole video on that. But yeah, so come next April, I will have this spot ready for them, all in line, and then we'll have just this nice rose garden right here that we can see when you come around. You can see it from the patio, you can see it from all the angles. I'm super, super excited. When we were at Laura and Aaron's, because I was really thinking about doing Vanessa Bell instead of the Poet's Wife, and she had Vanessa Bell, and while it is a beautiful rose, it's not quite as yellow as I was hoping, so that's why I went for the Poet's Wife. Again, for me, smell is a really big deal, and all of these will have great smells. Again, we'll put them up there, exactly which ones I'm gonna do, and of course, once they come, we'll talk about this later in the future. But we have lots of big plans. Yeah, still lots of plans and different projects going on. So I just wanna give you a little update. Okay, that is 2 days at Creekside on the fly. Again, as always, thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. I hope you have enjoyed it, found it a little entertaining, maybe you learned a couple of things. But as always, thank you so much. We will see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.